Here it is, guys. It's time to start going hard on this. Formally introducing you to Project Taco Supreme. The reason it's called Taco Supreme, everybody calls their Toyota Taco because it's in the fucking name. However, when you make something better and deluxe, it then becomes Supreme. So this here, Project Taco Supreme. We're going to be 3-link in the front, 3-link in the rear, 1-ton Dana 60, Sterling 10.5, 40-inch tires, 14-inch coilovers. What else we got on this thing? Power steering is a PSC high pressure 1850 psi at 1000 RPMs, I think they said, something like that. Power steering assist down below. It's going to be a Chevy 1-ton Master with a T100 booster and the adapter plate between it. We have, I don't know guys, here I got a shelf of shit over here. Like, I've been collecting. I got WFO, I got Barnes Off-Road, I got or Barnes 4x4, I apologize. PSC, we have I don't know. There's stuff there. There's a lot. And I have been tracking every dime that I put into this so far. Currently, the axles that I'm going to be running on this are sent out right now, making sure that they're true and straight. I'm going to get them back, truss them, and then I'm sending them back out, and they're going to get built. I am a little bit behind on this project, so I do not want to waste time doing a video on building axles for you guys, because there's so many of those monotonous videos already out there. Not saying I'm the first one to solid swap a Toyota, but this is my first one, so it's more exciting to me. Here's how we're going to be getting started. I got the plasma over there. We are going to just kind of roughly plasma these brackets off and out of the way real quick. Just blast through it. I have the hose right there. I get a fire extinguisher right there, and I'm fast as fuck, boy. So we're gonna get as much big stuff off as we can. Then I'll come through with the cutoff wheel, cut this, and then we'll grind it down. Then we'll put our frame stiffening plates in there. And a lot of this brake stuff, I'm gonna end up cutting this all out. I'm gonna do it solid down because the ABS has to come out. The ABS is still in the truck, so goes over the Master, comes up loopy doopies over into this. That's all going away. So I'm going to free up some space right here. I might run a second battery in it. I don't know what I'm going to do over there, but it's party central over there. So then all this is going to be, regardless, there's plans on this thing, guys. And then in the rear, I'm going to do frame plates on the outside. I'm not going to box it in. Recently I've been reading some stuff about boxing it in and how the frame is designed to flex, and these do flex a lot. You can actually, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but right now the bed's facing down. It's separated from the cab. More than once I've had it touching the cab. So like, this thing flexes. If I break it, I break it. And I do have plans for that. So I'll show you on this side. We're gonna come from all the way forward here, the frame plate, all the way up to about here. There is some boxing on the back side of this, like this side alone. The other side has a couple little spots, but once I stiffen this, it'll be able to hold that, and then I'm gonna do a new truss going side to side to stop this from twisting with the coilovers. I'm doing 14, so I think they're gonna punch up into the bed. I'm not a big fan of making things look super not stock. Like, I bought a Toyota Tacoma because I always wanted one. I could never afford one, so I bought one, and then I was going to keep it nice and stock, and then yeah, we're not going to get into that. But this truck has done everything I've asked it to do and then some, so now it's time to make it do everything I didn't think it could do and then some. Oh, you can see here, like, there's a dent here now from this camper shell getting up into the bed, and I've scuffed the whole cab corner here. So I've stuffed it, and I'm going to need to address that. So I might have to do a little more stiffening than I thought. But we'll get there when we get there. The front's first because it's the most challenging. And then once the front's done, then we'll worry about the back. Then we're going to deal with bumpers. I like the stock look in the front, but I need to clean that up a lot. I've been following people, Tacoma. There's another one. He's got it was Goldie. Can't remember the name of that one, but he had the 4-door gold one. He recently sold it. So this is going to be my toy. I hope you guys follow along. I hope you enjoy. Feel free to comment and give me suggestions. Give me your experience with this. Tell me what I should do, shouldn't do, and kind of help me along with this, guys. I want to make this kind of an interactive thing. I'm going to try and stay at least within 2 weeks of each video. Production time. I do a lot of other stuff, so I gotta try and keep this together. But yeah, I want to know your opinions, and if you have any suggestions. The rear is last, so if you guys have done this before, let me know what you've done to stiffen up the rear and stop from crushing cab corners and shit. Yeah, follow along, guys. Hope you enjoy. Let's make some progress on this thing. Oh yeah, so everything on this Tacoma has been sold. The front differential, the power steering rack, the upper lower control arms, the rear leaf spring, everything has been sold as far as running gear goes. Yeah, let's cut some shit up, guys. Alright guys, here goes the first cut. About to get this thing going. And then I'm going to show you guys how I do it, and then I'm just going to do the rest of them, and then we'll pick back up afterwards. That way I'm not boring you with too many details on this, but it's pretty efficient. I'll show you the tools that I'm using along the way and how easy this is. So on the other side, I used a little hand chisel to do this. On this side, I'm just going to tap it with the air hammer. Just light little laps. A little more cutting. God damn. This thing's a hitter.
Right? What's your new one?
Yeah. God damn.
This guy's gnarly as fuck.
That is throwing some shit away. Guys, these are called P-Ferd discs. I call these metal erasers. That's what they are. They're a hard disc. These fucking things will make that nothing fast. Alright guys, so I'm just going to let this one run through. This is 1 minute clip start to finish, and that is how long it actually took to erase this part of that cross member. Now, it is probably 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch still on the frame. I would say roughly 1/4 inch wide. So this thing is eating some material. Now, this is the only disc that I had to use on the entire truck. and I bought a 10-pack of these. Now, I've been using these things for approximately a year now, and I can't say anything bad about them. No broken discs, no premature failures, just everything is killer. Now, I also went out and bought the sanding discs too, which I'll use in a little while here, but I highly recommend this, guys. Don't waste time with those other grinding wheels and all that stuff that just puts a bunch of shit in the air. Grab these. So now we're going to take out the transmission cross member. I have the WFO Concepts drop in with the lower control arm already built into it. So we're just going to do the same thing we've been doing. We're going to slice around this little weld, give it a couple bop-bop-bops, and then that'll be fixed. Cut up here. Try not to cut the brake line or the fuel line, but fuck it. And going to go bop-bop-bop. It's going to fall out just like that. So I'll take you guys along. Sit back, enjoy. Okay guys, so I got the frame all ground down. I'll show you that in 2 seconds here. Here's the WFO Concepts Toyota cross member. It has a little pin that lines up in one of the back holes. So what you do is you lift this thing into place, you throw your 2 bolts up through this guy here. There's a little cutout in the bottom. That's what she said. And this bolts up into place. From there, you hold it up in with a jack. You're going to square it up. I'll show you how I do that. I don't know if it's the way everybody's going to do it, but I have a couple of chinguses to do that. And then we're going to throw a few spot welds, probably some pretty heavy spot welds on it, to be honest. That way this can sit up there the entire duration that we're mocking up the control arms and everything. And if I find out that anything's out of square, then I'm going to break the spot welds and fix it. But we're going to measure to several points in this thing of where this needs to be. But what I like about it is it kicks everything back. We're going to see if it works with my doubler, because my setup is not like the others. So I don't know if this is going to work with my doubler or not. We might be buying an Atlas sooner than later. Good. Don't tell the wife. So while I have the welder out, we're gonna weld up where I got a little happy with the plasma cutter, and shave that back down and grind this whole side nice, make it look like the other side. And then Andrew got all the brackets off on the underneath, all the brackets on the back side, ground that all nice for me. So we'll get the cross member in tomorrow. We'll try and figure out how to set these plates into place for the frame reinforcements, and I might even have time to slap the new oil pan on, and then it's time to figure out geometry for suspension. So through watching a few videos, guys, what I've decided is I think I'm going to go with the ORIs. Not having a bump stop in there, I'm going to go with 14-inch ORIs. If they have one with bypasses, I'm probably going to go with the best that they have as far as the ORIs go. However, the coilovers and everything like that, it's just going to take up a lot of real estate in there. The bump stops take up real estate. And the ORIs, honestly, are having pretty damn good reviews. And if I don't have to run a sway bar, I'll be ecstatic. Now, I was planning on Steve had told me that, you know, some guys only run a rear stabilizer, and that Tony Pellegrigio says that all you need is a rear, and that's kind of the route I was going to go. But if I don't need one at all and I can just run ORIs, I only got one thing poking through the bed back there and one up here, then that's going to be pretty legit. Also, I've been hearing a lot of the Jeep guys say that they run 14s in front and 12 in the rear. A lot of guys that do this swap are running 12, so I'm already a little ridiculous putting a 14 in there. But the way that I see it, up here I don't have a lot of stuff that's in the way. And the higher up you have these things, the more stable the vehicle is going to be. So I think I might be able to just get away with cutting it. And even if I have to poke it through the hood a little bit, I honestly don't care. I'm kind of going for performance. I do want it to look semi-stock. I want it to look clean. But you know, let me know down below, please, if you guys have experience with coilovers or ORIs or both. I really would like some input on this. I'm probably 2 months away from being ready for that. Maybe not, I don't know. The amount of time that this truck is actually taking me isn't too bad so far. Now I know that once you hang the axles and you start doing all that, cycling the suspension, that's going to be what takes the longest on it. But I thought cutting the brackets off this truck was going to suck the worst, and it hasn't. So let me know down below, guys, please, what you think, what your opinion is. Even if you're a guy that's only, you know, put one suspension on a vehicle before and that's all you have experience with, I want to know as much as I can, make an educated choice on this truck. I do not want to skimp out on this thing. No corners have been cut so far, and no corners will be cut on this. Well, that's a flat out lie. Stock axles, Eaton lockers, Detroit, and then Eaton E-locker, Warren hubs, but axles are stock. I didn't go to the full extent I could have with these yet, so that's a flat out lie. Expenses have been spared, but I want to do the best that I can on this. I got the philosophy, you buy once, cry once, and if there's a part that I'm going to purchase, I want to purchase it once. So let me know, guys. So yesterday came and went. Today, back to this cross member. Pretty excited about this. What I decided to do is I'm going to loosen up these bolts, both sides, just enough to get it to pivot, get it back up into place, retighten the bolts, and then throw some pretty heavy spots on it, and we'll final weld everything at the end. Like when we've got all the suspension working perfectly, I will final weld everything and we'll call that good. But for right now, we have to get this thing to be able to fit between the frame rails. As I showed you before, not so good of a fit over here. So let's get to it. Yay! There, guys, that did it. Got me where I needed to be. For whatever reason, this isn't going. There it goes. Garbage jack. Damn it for free. Guys, that is a good looking thing there. Guys, here's my little secret tool here. So it's called a square tram, I believe, or a telescoping tram, something like that. Basically, it's designed to be able to duplicate things. It's got pins on it. It's fully adjustable. So let's say we're in here in the wheel well. I'm gonna go to that little hole in the frame right there, that hole in the frame right there. This thing goes in it, sits perfectly. This goes in, sits perfectly. On the other side of the truck, we go to the same holes. There's one up front, one back there, and they fit perfectly. That is how you know you are spot on accurate. And there's no flex in this tool, there's no wiggling. This tool is either dead on or something's out of square. We're gonna use this tool, and they have all these little rods and stuff, all these special, and then the stickers. These are maximum efficiency right there. That way you can make sure that you are spot on. The stickers play a huge part. Not really. But yeah, that's my little special tool. I'm gonna of course use a tape measure afterwards, but this little guy here is gonna make everything so that it's nice. So let's start measuring up. Here's my cross member. You follow it over. Here's the emergency brake cable actuator rod thingamajigger. Right here where the brake lines bolt into the frame, there's a hole on the bottom. On this side, there's exactly the same. We're going to use those holes to start with and try and get a rough measurement. So let's show you how that's done. Let's learn together. I'm going to shorten all this up so it can be as accurate as possible. Lengthen it. I'll leave this side long. Go to that hole. Now we check over here. Guys, that worked out perfect. So what I did, I extended that side so it's gonna rest against here like that. Over here, you want to make sure that that drops in that hole perfectly. It's not pulling away from it, it is dead center and it seats. Over here, same thing. Right there we're in, and up here we drop right in the center of that hole. Now I know side to side this is perfect. So I'm going to put a little spot weld over here, a little spot weld there. I am going to do a tape measure, a couple other measurements, but you guys get the point. I'm going to finish squaring that up, and then we're going to tack it right here. Just one, just so that it doesn't move forward, backward. We'll do a nice heavy little tack right there. I'm going to tighten all these bolts back up. That way everything's cinched how it's going to be, and everything will be kind of in a relaxed position. And then I'll do a couple, probably 4 good tacks on this, maybe a couple more, but that'll set that into place. And then we're going to start with the front arms. We'll get there when we get there. Okay guys, got it all burned in. Nice and good. There's a hole in the factory frame there. I'm not going to try and fill that. It's not I missed anything. All up in there is done. All along there. So she burned in. So I didn't want to show you guys welding in the cross member just because it's kind of boring to watch. So burned that all in, did little sections at a time so I don't warp the crap out of it. And now we're going to be installing the frame plates. WFO frame plates. Once again, got a whole bunch of stuff from WFO. I went through and I welded up all the burn throughs that we had. Again, did a little bit, came over here, did a little bit, and done. So all that's going to get ground flat now. These plates are going to go up there. There's no real directions on these plates of how they should fit or whatnot, but we're going to interpret it how we need to interpret it, and we're going to install it maybe correctly. Let's find out. We're on the passenger side of the vehicle, guys. What we're going to do first off, we're going to get this thing semi-close to where it needs to be, or where I think it's going to be. Just somewhere around here. I'm just going to mark some drawings here. So now we get a better idea of what needs to be really clean, beautiful, and where this thing's going to land. We're going to have to take off the anti-lock brake harness here. I'm not going to destroy any of the harnesses. I'm going to unplug it, put it back, and then zip tie it. Obviously I'm not going to have ABS, so that's all coming out, but definitely going to have check engine light, ABS light. I don't want any of that shit, so I'm not going to damage anything until I know what I got to do. So yeah, we're just going to keep grinding. This here is going to be nice and perfect. That's going to be perfect. All this stuff flat. I'm going to weld this frame part up again, get this a little better, because that did punch through the frame, so I want that welded. And then get this cleaned up. I'll show you guys how I'm going to clamp it together and where we're going to go from there. Plastic box right here. I don't know what it's doing there, but there's no way this little tiny tire that I'm putting in there is going to clear that. Yeah. You know, I joke around about not being very smart all the time. I'm over here using my safety squints. These work a little better. You realize that once you shoot something at your eye. Washer fluid bottle. It's no longer going to work very well in there. That's fun. I just realized why people get rid of it and why there's companies out there that replace it. So guys, little details like this, that can be forgotten about, and it probably won't matter much, honestly. It's going to be covered by another piece of metal, but stuff like that bothers me. And if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. So let's do it right. And yes, there's things that I might not be doing correctly, but I'm going to try and do it the best of my knowledge. And if I know that's a hack job right there, I'm obviously not going to continue. So let's fix it. Still a couple little pinholes here. Rinse and repeat, guys. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use some of these quick clamps, and I'm going to hold this thing into place temporarily where I need it, and then I'm going to use C-clamps and I'm going to put it into place. But before I put the C-clamps on there, I got a little trick for you guys. Kind of help you from screwing up your C-clamps while you're welding. What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Oh, you know, here's a little trick, guys. You're going to be welding right next to the threads of your clamps. Take a WD-40 and just spray your clamps, and nothing will stick to these threads at that point. So you don't have to worry about overspray coming in and hitting your clamps. So I'm going to tighten this up real good. So again, spray, spray. So now that ain't going anywhere. We're going to get this up here all spotted in, tacked in. We'll get these center holes done first, and then I'll burn some around the edges here. We're going to do probably 2-inch sections, maybe a little more than 2-inch sections, but then we're going to skip and we're going to bounce all around the frame so it doesn't go whoop. After that, I'll come in here and I'll push all this into place, but we're going to get right up to that. All this is nice and tight, so that's it. Just start burning now. Hope that it's good. I think it's good. You think it's good? So the lighting's not the greatest, guys, but you can see we're doing little increments up here. We're not trying to warp anything, taking our time. just laying in some beads. Get the center holes. Get the underneath taken care of. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to continue to just kind of move along and, you know, weld this thing up. Once this side's all burned in, then I'm going to focus back here and I'm going to start tying this in because I need some of these clamps up front. So I'll probably give this the old swinger and then tuck in a couple down here, and then that'll be pretty balanced out. But I'm trying to stagger a little bit, you know, just not directly on top of each other. This one I had to because that's right in the bend, but if you can do like altering, it's much better for it. But yeah. Alright guys, looks like that's gonna be it for the day. Out of gas, out of here. So here's where we ended up. I got everything burned in. All the welds are in there. Everything on top is nice and burned in. So I overfilled the plug welds. I turned the welder down, so I burned it in there tight and hot, and then I turned the welder down and just did fillers on top. I didn't want to add too much heat to those spots. At the same time, I wanted to have a nice flat surface here. So see, we got the whole front in there. Everything's nice. The heat affected zones I'm good with. I tried to overlap each individual one so you don't end up with a super cold spot, and I'd say I achieved for the most part. So on this side, guys, I think I have this placed where it needs to be. I just kind of looked underneath to see where the curve started and placed it there and then clamped it in. There's a back plate on it that I lined up with the motor mount, and it seems to work. It says that in the directions, it says there's 2 holes. You can mount it an inch forward if you'd like to. I'm definitely going to opt to do that, and I think the only reason is because it clears or doesn't clear the fan shroud. So the back hole clears the fan shroud, the front hole does not. So I don't know there. I got to call out to them. I'm going to confirm that before I weld this in. So guys, here it is. I got it mocked up. I think it's important to note I did call WFO on this on Monday morning and asked them, hey, you know, is there any key measurements I should know about to link this thing up and know where it goes? And he says, as long as it fits, it's in. I had very high, very good things to say about WFO when I first purchased all this stuff, but the customer service, when I just called in to ask about this, the guy was very short, just kind of an asshole, to be honest with you. They sell a product, and not everybody lives right next door to them. Can't all bring our rigs up there and have them do it. So I feel like I'm kind of on my own on this one. You can essentially move this quite a bit and have it still line up with everything. Like, I can go further forward with this plate, but if I do, I won't be able to get things in. Like, this front hole here is going to interfere with the radiator, so I got it back just far enough. Now when you drill through this, it has these sleeves. This is what it comes with. Now the sleeve is there so that you don't crush your frame and you can tighten things, and this sticks through the back side of it. Now how am I supposed to weld this up, and how is this supposed to go? They don't tell you any of that. So it's kind of buy our product, but if we don't install it, you're on your own. Where the cross member came with instructions and was very nice, very easy to do. I don't know, guys. I'm just butthurt, I guess. Spent good amount of money with them. Not as much as people that have the work done there, but I mean, I bought as much product from them as I possibly could, and I got an asshole on the phone. So I'm I can't tell you if this is the right way to do this or not, but I can tell you that this is the best I got given the lack of information that I got. So here's what we're gonna do. We got it lined up so that it's, you know, pretty good in the groove there. Over here, I put the collars through on both bolts just to make sure that both holes would work if I wanted it to. That's what she said. And I am going to drill this hole here, that hole there, and then I'm going to try and figure out how to get it completely straight in there. So these are called transfer punches. These are the highest quality ones you can get. Just kidding. They're Pittsburgh. And what you do is you find the right diameter of the hole that you're using, and this one's not it. It's got a little slop to it. So it's going to be the big guy. And you plop it in the hole, and then you whack it. Now, because of that, it self-centers itself into the hole. So you can get dead center every single time. So once I do that, I'll put the drill bit through there and it'll be perfectly centered. I'll show you what I mean on that. Dead center. That's all there is to it. Now we drill it. So guys, I'm not going to use lube on these holes because I'm going to be welding to this and I just don't want to have to clean it all up. I'm using the new Matco bits. They've been out for a couple of years now, I think, but they're the self-starting, self-opening kind of step bit style. There's one. There's two. Did I just try it? I think this is supposed to just go in there, rest against the inner frame, so the other hole is supposed to be bigger. But I don't know because I didn't get any guidance on that. Kind of shitty. Still bitter. So here's the other side of the plate. So it goes through like this, and then it'll have a little gap there. So what I'm thinking is I wait till that pokes through, and I'm going to weld the outside of the sleeve. That's going to keep it nice and tight. And then I weld this plate to the inside of this, and we're all good. That's the best I got. Pretty straight. So I just ran the bit through the fan shroud. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay guys, so you can see right here, there's the hole and it poked into the fan shroud. So my thing is I'm going to pull the fan shroud out. I'm going to use a hole saw right here. That way I clearance for that bolt. But that gets that all the way forward as far as I can with giving enough clearance to the radiator and bracket. There's the other hole right there. So you know, it would have been nice if they said, hey, you know, there's a reference bolt right there and there's a reference bolt right here. You know, all you do is take the plate, you bolt it to that, and then you drill. But again, they didn't. So I'm going to drill out the inside holes, take out the fan shroud, and go from there. We got the pegs all the way in. The bolts don't really matter how far out they are. Pegs are fully seated. That's what they look like. That's the kind of clearance I have to the radiator. I took the shroud out already, so I can get my hand in there. I'm gonna have to pull the radiator to weld the front because I do want it solid, or maybe I'll just do here and then here. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Ideally solid welded, it would pull the radiator. So here's the plate. So that's the plate on there. So it fits pretty good. Snug up against the radiator there. And then back here, I'm right up against the mount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it in here, get this nice and tight, and then I'll clamp here, and that'll bend this plate a little bit to match the frame, and then burn it in. I think I'm going to actually cut this plate a little further back to get it away from these mounts. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this. So I don't know if maybe they put it further forward, but see if I can get this for you. That's how much of a gap I have there. And then over here, you can see I'm kind of right up to the mount. I want to get it a little bit away from that mount. So I'm going to take off a 1/4 inch on both of these, which is probably what I'm missing by there. So I think they wanted it all the way up against that, but that would have been nice to know. Again, that phone call would have been real nice, but that's where it goes. So that's where mine ended up. So let's get this cut and then I'll come back. Okay guys, so we're getting this thing burned in, just kind of moving around several spots I haven't got yet. As I'm doing that, I'm trying to plan for the gearbox. So between welds cooling down, the gearbox is going to come up into this whole area here. So we're going to be losing some of this. So I got to shave some of this out. I'm going to use my air saw, I think, and start trimming. And I don't know how far I'm going to have to go for my little hoochie hoops for the ORIs. But I know that I need to clearance this for the box. So I'm going to find some structure. Now my truck has been hit in this corner only. It came up, it hit the wheel, and that was the extent of it. So I got some bends here, get some bends here. So I'm going to try and find this seam and come right up this seam and come over and see what that does for me, if it gives me enough clearance. You can see it's a little fatigued right here, and it's actually cracked. Irrelevant, but it's there. So up top, I've already removed the battery. I have a relay right here I don't want to cut, and then I just got the ABS wire that I keep fighting with, so I'm going to pop that out, coil that up, and put that here. I'm going to try not to cut any harnesses I don't need to. It's not hurting anything. I'm just going to leave it alone, and then we'll see what kind of engine lights or whatever else we get at the end. So yeah, that's what we're up to. But I got up here welded. That's all welded. I got to pull this bracket here out, finish one seam right there, and then I got the top. I'm starting to lay beads on the top on the other side. They're coming out okay, but yeah, let's get that cut. I just held the box up into place. Where I have these holes, there's a lot more cutting that has to happen. So that whole panel right there is going to need to come out, and that sucks because there's a body mount right there. So that body mount bracket is bent, which is probably half the reason why the truck looks like it's sagging on this side. So if I have to rebuild that or come off with just a simple plate, so be it. Right now we're going to pull the bumper off and then try and see what we got going on behind the bumper and what's going to be entailed. Okay guys, so here's the problem. I'm in the hole. I got the top holes not quite there. I have to clearance quite a bit more. Here it is on this side here. So we got quite a bit I need to do here. Now this is part of the support for the radiator. I don't want to lose all this, but I'm gonna have to cut as much as I gotta cut. Well guys, several hours have passed. I welded this nice and slow, Did a little bit, let it cool. Laid down some beadage. I got the gearbox in. So now it is the way it should have come from the factory from Toyota. Just kidding, Toyota, you do good. I did have to clearance quite a bit. So I took a bite out of the radiator, the support. I cut the bolt and then moved the bolt up, put a new nut on the back. Once I take the gearbox out next time, I'm going to spot weld the back. Had to cut the flange in the front and then had to cut this main support. So I just took the plasma cutter, went in straight across. I'm going to put a plate in there because I can get my hand down in there. So I'm going to put a plate inside of it, weld it to get more structure out of this. So it's standing up inside of it, and I think that should be more than enough. I didn't have to cut out all this, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. If I want to later on, I can just make a box to cover this, but I don't think it really matters. My bumper is going to go on here. It's a pretty good sized bumper that I'm going to build for this thing. So I got to keep a lot of structure there. This is what it looks like up front. To finish this off, here's a trail gear plate for the firewall. And then I have a bunch of new parts, new grommet for the inside firewall, and a whole bunch of stuff. Plus it came with a new steering shaft. So that's going to be installed next. Center it up and tack it all together. Or might not even need to be tacked. It looks like it's keyed. I don't know. That's going to be on the next video, guys. Take care of that and start dropping axles under this thing, because that's where we're at. It's pretty exciting to actually see something in there going together. You guys got any questions or comments, feel free to throw them in the chingaderas down below and I'll answer them. So that's going to finish it up, guys. Thanks again for watching Penguin's Garage. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more fuckery. Thanks.